Welcome to round 2 of the Swann Super Series, coming to you from Sydney Motorsport Park. I'm your host, Becky Lamb, and I'm here with Lucas Vitali. Lucas, you won the final race yesterday and ended up second overall. A pretty good start to the season.
Yeah, I was pretty happy with that. I was sort of battling around the front all day and, really wanted to get that race win. So it was hard earned. The tyres were well and truly gone by that last race, but we held in there and got the win.
So take us through the confidence building for the rest of the season, especially since round 1 was only 24 hours ago. Round 2, it must feel pretty good to be able to get back on track with a lot of confidence as well.
Yeah, it was good, sort of coming off a win yesterday. So we'll keep the ball rolling and hopefully we can stay up the front and get another few wins. 3 would be nice.
We'd love to see you on the podium again today. We've got plenty more action coming up for you guys shortly. Make sure you stay tuned.
Thanks very much, Becky. Looking forward to the opening race today in the Superbikes, brought to you by bikehaggle.com.au, the new class sponsors for the Premier Superbike class and the brand new place to sell and buy a motorcycle. And as an introductory offer, you can advertise your bike for free for the month of June. Let's have a look at the standings after the opening round yesterday. Brad Swallow leads with 68 points, a slender margin ahead of Simon Galloway and Lucas Vitali in equal second. Brendan McIntyre, Dominic De Leon, Kelvin Riley, Brett Kitchen, Brett Harper, Simon Barbachetto, Somfit Rosner round up the top 10. Making their way to the grid for the opening race 3 times here at Sydney Motorsport Park today, we will see the second round of the Swann Super Series and of course the featuring category being the bikehaggle.com.au Superbikes. Brad Swallow there in the all-green livery of the Kawasaki Connection on board his ZX-10R was the dominant force in yesterday's opening round. Will he be able to repeat the performance here today? Joining him on the front row of the grid is Brendan McIntyre and Lucas Vitali. Second row, Galloway, De Leon and Harper. Whilst on the third row of the grid we have Kokoris, Jean-Gabriel Lane, Kelvin Riley. On row number 4 it's Mears, Sutton and Fripp. On the 5th row of the grid it's Kitchen, Barbachetto and Griffith, whilst our 6th row sees Marsh, Rosner and Carroll. All in readiness now for the opening encounter. On board with Lucas Vitali, he gets a good start, but none as good as, I guess you could say, his boss, Dominic De Leon, on the row behind him. In the meantime, though, it is the green, lean racing machine of the Kawasaki Connection ZX-10R mounted Brad Swallow that leads them down through turn 1 and into the bikebiz.com.au turn 2 for the first time. Right behind him, Brendan McIntyre is doing a good job as well in third placing. I think you'll find that Simon Galloway that is in second as they get up over the top of the bikehaggle.com.au drop-off and head into Dunlop Sportsmax for the first lap.
Yeah, Kelvin Riley's behind them as well, and then a lot of the C and D graders, Kokoris, Lane and Mears is there as well. But a good return to racing from the BC Performance Principal, Lance, who's just out here apparently having fun.
Yeah, having fun, and he's under the tutorship today of the current Australasian Superbike champion, Robbie Bugden.
Yeah, so it was great to see Robbie Bugden and Jimmy Boren pushing his bike back to the pitch yesterday. It was great to see. But as the race continues coming around the Sydney Motorsport Park Ride Days Corporate Hill, it is still Brad Swallow on his ZX-10R. Simon Galloway actually got faster and faster until we must let the listeners know too that he has a torn ACL in his knee and he was hobbling around like an elder gentleman through the pit. So he is injured, Simon Galloway, and he's riding fantastically.
Yeah, he was trying to mimic me walking around the pit area, but he's got the brace on the knee. He's certainly doing a great job out there and toughing it in no uncertain terms as Simon Galloway. So at the end of lap number 1 of race 1 of round 2 of the Swann Super Series in the Swann Insurance Australasian Superbike Championship, it is Brad Swallow ahead of Simon Galloway, Brendan McIntyre, Lucas Vitali, Dominic De Leon. Then we go back to Ben Harper, Kelvin Riley, who's not so rusty Riley now that he's got his leg back over a bike after 9 years of absence from racing. Kitchen, Brett Kitchen on 55, the BMW. Kokoris and Mears rounding up the top 10.
Yes, they're bunching up very nicely at the front. There's still Brad Swallow from Galloway, McIntyre and Vitali. So Brendan McIntyre, look at these top 4 now. Simon Galloway having a big look through Dunlop Sportsmax. They can't quite do it, getting ready. Oh, is that? Oh, hang on.
Oh! Goodness me, that was unfortunate. I think you'll find that a chain has just come off the Kawasaki Connections ZX10R, and Brad Swallow was absolutely livid at that. Very, very lucky Simon Galloway to get away with. He clipped that on the inside of the circuit. You could see what I think was the chain. I don't think I'm incorrect in saying that it was the chain of the Kawasaki that almost wrapped itself around the leg. We've got two other riders that have come unstuck as well, unfortunately. We have a red flag by the looks of it. I thought it would bring the red flag out. Let's have a look, a replay here of what exactly happened. We think the chain came off. There it is, and it almost wrapped itself around the leg and the wheel of Simon Galloway, who balanced himself rather precariously there with his sore right leg. You could see him struggle with his right knee. Unfortunately, Swallow put his arm up in the air as quick as he can. Brendan McIntyre was the rider on the right-hand side on his Suzuki, who just got around the outside. Unfortunately, he clipped the shoulder and elbow of Swallow, but fortunately, both of them were able to balance themselves on the bikes. Here we go for the second part, the second asking, the restart of the bikehaggle.com.au Superbike Race 1 of Round 2 of the Swann Super Series.
Yeah, great start there by Brendan McIntyre in his Western Motorcycle Suzuki, which holds the leads, but it's going to be a drag race between him and Simon Galloway into race as well. Into Bike Biz, and who's around the outside? That's Vitale.
Yeah, Lucas Vitale gets right round the outside. Sorry to interrupt you with my all there, but I was absolutely flabbergasted. The speed that he took through there, he went past those other two riders so fast he almost caught pneumonia from the breeze. I can see there Brad Swallow has joined the race. It looks like he started from pit lane. He is dead last as we go over the top of bikehaggle.com.au drop off for the first time.
Great to see that team get that chain on there very quickly. Let's see how far of the field he makes, and he's already having a few battles there at the back. But at the moment, Lucas Vitale, we hadn't seen Lucas lead one of these races so far this year, up into the pointy end. But Simon Galloway, Vitale and McIntyre out in front now with a little gap to Dominic De Leon and Harper.
Well, he has quite often been the bridesmaid, but never the bride. In last year and the year before, Lucas Vitale tried very hard in Formula Oz, but he was always pipped at the post, seemingly, by Simon Galloway. Will today be a repeat of him getting another race victory?
Yes, I think on the older machine too, Lucas Vitale upgraded to the new Kawasaki ZX10R this year, riding the pretty similar bike to Brendan McIntyre's riding now last year. And we can't wait to see Brendan step up to the new bike, but at the moment it's Vitale, Galloway and McIntyre out the front.
Looking back through the field to see where indeed young Brad Swallow is as our race leader heads down the end of the Swann Insurance main straight into Races World. About 3 bike lengths lead he has over Simon Galloway, but Galloway is very strong down in this section of the circuit, followed through then by the Western Motorcycle 7 Friday Suzuki of Brendan McIntyre. Somebody going straight on to the right of our screen there. Looks like he's okay and managed to keep it upright. There he is in the background, negotiating the grass rather than the tarmac.
Yes, back on the circuit. Good ride by that rider. I think it was number 17 there, Lance. Was
Harper, Brendan Harper. He was behind McIntyre, wasn't he?
That's right. And Kelvin Riley and Dominic De Leon having a great battle there for 5th and 6th. Looks like Dominic just got the better of Kelvin there, but as these three's out in front now, they've already got a 2.5 second lead from 4th place to Dominic De Leon.
We are on a 2-part race here. This is effectively then the 4th lap of 8, so almost halfway through this one, even though it's been conducted in 2 parts. There is that battle you were talking about for 4th and 5th place. Dominic De Leon on the At1 Racing Kawasaki, ahead of Kelvin Riley on the BC Performances Kawasaki, who has a massive amount of support in the background. The likes of the current Australasian Superbike champion Robbie Bugden, Kyle Buckley's there, all of the mechanics involved in the BC Performance team are there. There are more mechanics than there are bikes and riders in that pit at the moment.
And that's a turn up for the books, because we know how good and big that team is. But what did he say? 9 years since he's been racing, and look at the pace already onto there. Like his last lap was a 1:36.0.
It's actually 2009 was the last time that he put his leg over a bike in a British Superbike Championship race in England. So what's that work out to be? 8 years, 9 years, close enough to it.
What do they say, Lance? Once you're fast, you don't get slower?
Well, I don't know about that, but certainly we started off the weekend calling him Kelvin Rusty Riley, and now we're calling him Kelvin Not So Rusty Riley.
battle out front at the moment. It looks like McIntyre having a big look up through Dunlop Sports makes turn 4 on Simon Galloway. The top 3 riders, nothing separating at the moment. A good battle between De Leon and Riley behind them for 4th and 5th. The battle at the front as the riders come down into turn 9 and get ready to go down the iPone Oils back straight. It is all Lucas Vitale at the moment.
A 1:33.998 was his first flying lap in this restart of the bikehaggle.com.au Superbike race. It is the second race on the program, 17 of them here this weekend at Sydney Motorsport Park.
Yes, I did see the fluoro green machine of Brad Swallow having a great dice in that backpack there, so he's fighting out for the minor positions, but the podium position at the moment is that still Simon Galloway still maintaining second spot. What a great job he's doing with that severe leg injury.
So down the Swann Insurance Main Straight they come to complete lap 6 of 8, or start lap 6 of 8 I should say. Look at this battle a little bit further back through the field. Brad Swallow now coming up onto the rear of Barbacello. By the looks of it, Simon Barbacello. He's up onto the back of Hamish McMurray on corrected time. It looks like he's back in 17th place at this stage, Tim.
That's right, there's 2 times we have to work out now, isn't there, Lance, with it? Someone's gone wide down there through Bike Biz. Maybe if they've had maybe staying on board again. It actually looks like it was, what was that rider before it? Harper did it again.
Yeah, it looks like he's having some difficulty there. Here comes Brad Swallows threading the needle up over the bikehaggle.com.au drop-off into the right-left combination Dunlop Sportsmax.
He's coming onto the back wheel of Brett Kitchen, who had a good day yesterday, but coming into the Sydney Motorsport Park Ride Days part of the circuit, that he's slowly making his way to the front.
Yes, the next victim in his sights is Con Kokoris on the track signs Ducati 1299 as they head around the back of Corporate Hill and down into turn number 9. Kokoris firmly in his sights in front of him there at the moment. Oh, down he goes, loses the front end and very lucky not to be collected. Brad Swallow very lucky indeed, but his mission continues on a charge to the front of the pack.
Lucas Vitale, Simon Galloway, Brendan McIntyre, nothing separating him, Lance, at the moment. But 33.9 again for Galloway, who's now the fastest lap of the race, and it looks like he momentarily had the lead there, Lance, as they cross the line, but Vitale gets him throughout Races World.
As they appear, it is Vitale ahead of Galloway on corrected time for the 2-part race. It looks like Galloway has a 0.09 second lead over Vitale. So if Vitale can just manage to edge out 0.1 of a second or 0.2 of a second, he could take the win here. In the meantime, here's a replay on board with Brad Swallow as we look at the demise of Con Kokoris. Just trying a little bit too hard and being over-pressured and lost the front end. Very lucky not to be collected by Brad Swallow, and all credit to Swallow for avoiding a potentially very nasty incident. In the meantime, let's get back to the head of the pack as they head out of Sydney Motorsport Park Ride Days Turn 6 for the run around Corporate Hill. So it is Lucas Vitale leading Simon Galloway on the penultimate lap. Well, all you've got to do if you're Simon Galloway is keep within touch. If you can reach out and touch Lucas Vitale in front, you're going to win this race.
That's right, and I actually saw it, was it Hamish McMurray on his black ZX10. He was coming through, going up the field as well, but at the moment, there's Lucas Vitale on that excellent livered At1 machine.
Yeah, the At1 Pro race suits certainly come out in fine style. It is a sea of red. Of course, the principal, Dominic De Leon, coming from Trinidad and Tobago, likes that red colour. And the At1 Pro Racing team is certainly doing a great job with the Kawasaki that is primarily prepared by the man that is currently sitting back in 5th place, Kelvin Riley from BC Performance. Here comes Galloway, trying up the inside though, down into bikebiz.com.au, can't do it. He gets a nice tight line there, has to back off a little bit as Vitale cuts across the nose of him, and Brendan McIntyre, he's sizing them all up as they negotiate. Bikehaggle.com.au drop off.
Brendan McIntyre sitting back there waiting for any mistakes from these front 2 riders, and these two riders very rarely make mistakes there, Lance, but sitting there just to get any advantage you can with the final lap board is out. So Lucas Vitale needs to get, what's that, 0.2 of a second in front of Simon Galloway. Looks like he may have had that, but as they come around Sydney Motorsport Park ride days for the last time, coming over at Corporate Hill, the blind left-hander into the tight right-hander of turn 9. Here comes Simon having a big look. No, but Lucas Vitale, a very good line to stop the passing manoeuvre there.
I think you'll find that Galloway is probably not even aware of what he's got to do. All he wants to do is win this race, or is get as close as he possibly can to Vitale. And Brendan McIntyre, in the meantime, is still scratching his head on what he needs to do on that Western Motorcycles 7 Friday Suzuki to be able to get ahead of both of them.
So he needs to get about a second and a half in front, which I don't think is going to happen down the straight, but it is definitely going to be a drag race between Vitale and Galloway to take the win. Simon Galloway at the moment was leading by 0.2 of a second. It's going to be very close as they cross the line. Is it Vitale? Oh, it was Vitale for a second, and Galloway wins by 0.16 of a second.
Yes, well, Galloway did enough. All he needed to do was get close enough to Lucas Vitale. So even though Lucas Vitale took the checkered flag ahead of Simon Galloway on corrected time over the two-part race, Simon Galloway is victorious by 0.163 of a second ahead of Lucas Vitale. Brendan McIntyre in third. Dominic De Leon got the upper hand of Kelvin Riley, and Ben Harper defeated Brett Kitchen for 6th and 7th placing respectively.
The Yamaha's great, I love it, and I'm all over him in lots of spots. I think I'm going to have to show him a wheel next time. I can come on the straight a bit better, but it just, even when I'm right behind, he walks away. So hats off to him, they've done a good job with the bike.
After the race stoppage, stupidly I decided to take a bit of pressure out of the tyre. At the start of the race, the bike just felt terrible and I was making so many mistakes. So I think I just had to wait until the tyres came up to temp, and I also made a bad choice of using yesterday's qualifying tyre, which had no grip. So yeah, I'm really happy to have that, because I thought Simon was going to blow past me any second. So just holding on for dear life, really.
Some very entertaining stuff so far, but don't go too far away, because on the other side of this break we have race 2 of the bikehaggle.com.au Superbikes and the stars of tomorrow. Welcome back to Sydney Motorsport Park for our continued coverage of the 2017 Swann Super Series. Preparations underway for our next race on the program. It is the second encounter for the Superbikes, the bikehaggle.com.au Superbikes, along with the Formula Oz A grade and the FX Class C and D grade riders. Very entertaining stuff, albeit a little bit disjointed for race number 1. Let's see if we can get a better start in race number 2. Of course, it was all about Simon Galloway and Lucas Vitale, with Brendan McIntyre in the mix as well. Dominic De Leon, Kelvin Riley and Brett Harper on row number 2 for this second race. Row 3, Kitchen, Fripp and Sutton share that. Mears, Barbachetto and Rosner on the 4th row of the grid. Row 5 sees Lane, Griffin and Fruin, whilst Brad Swallow rounds up our 6th row. In preparation now, on board with the @1 Pro Race Suits Kawasaki mounted Dominic De Leon gets a great start there, threading the needle up the inside of Simon Galloway, our pole sitter, and rubbing shoulders on the inside there was Brendan McIntyre on board machine number 6, heading through turn number 1 for the first of 8 laps here at Sydney Motorsport Park in race 2 of the bikehaggle.com.au Superbikes. And it is our race 1 winner. Through bikebiz.com.au, the Chris Watson Motorcycles mounted Yamaha R1 of Simon Galloway. Dominic De Leon heading his team in second place. Lucas Vitale in 4th there, trying to get up around the outside of Brendan McIntyre as they negotiate the bottom of bikehaggle.com.au drop-off for the first time and thread the needle through the right-left combination known as Dunlop Sportsmax. Up over the top of the hill that leads into the Sydney Motorsport Park Ride Days, turn number 6, and Lucas Vitale there getting the better of Brendan McIntyre. But look at that lean green racing machine of Brad Swallow. He's a man on a mission, remembering he was victorious in round 1 here at Sydney Motorsport Park yesterday, and he's backing the bike into turn number 9 nice and early. Everybody line astern as they head through turn 9 for the run down the Ipone Oils back straight. Lucas Vitale trying to put one on the boss, Dominic De Leon, as they head into the final turns, the Matrice Dampers turns 10 and 11. No quarter asked and none given there, as everybody gets through nice and safe. Having said that, I've put the Murray Walker mockers on them. The red flag is out. It looks like we've got an incident that has caused the stoppage of the race, and that's down in turn number 9, the slowest right-hander. And whoever that rider is has caused concern for the safety of others. So we will have a full race restart very shortly. It is the second time of asking of the second race of 3 this weekend on the second round of the Swann Super Series. It's almost a case of deja vu, although this time Brendan McIntyre gets the whole shot ahead of Lucas Vitale.
Yeah, there's a blue bike there, Lance, but the other one, Brendan McIntyre on the Suzuki, but Vitale around the outside under brake. Simon Galloway's there as well. Oh, Brad Swallow's up to 6th.
I said he's got to do better. Look at that. Not even the second corner, and he's up to 6th.
And it's so easy to see that the green and black helmet there, but right on the tail now of Dominic De Leon in his Kawasaki. But at the moment, Vitale's got a bit of a lead there, coming over the bikehaggle.com.au drop-off. But Brad Swallow right on the tail now of the Outrun Racing team of Dominic De Leon.
So up over the top of the rise that leads into Sydney Motorsport Park Ride Day's Corporate Hill series of left-handers, Brad Swallow. He started dead last, 21st on the grid, because his chain broke and he wasn't able to restart race number 1, the second time of asking. Here he comes around Corporate Hill, up the inside. Oh, backs it in, almost knocks another rider off in turn 9.
That was Kelvin Riley too, so welcome back to racing, Kelvin Riley.
Yeah, by gee, I haven't seen that since Northern England 9 years ago, he says. Here we go with Brendan McIntyre threading the needle through Matrice Dampers, turn number 11 and 12.
Yes, it looks like Vitale and McIntyre there. De Leon still holding on. No, it looks like Kelvin Riley's got the better of Dominic De Leon there. I think that move by Brad Swallow stirred him up a little bit there around turn 9 there, Lance.
But here he comes up the inside of the 91 of Barbachetto.
Barbachetto up the pointy end of the field now. Looks like Brad Swallow's just going to have a look up the inside of Dominic De Leon. Can't quite do it. Just think Dominic De Leon, the current C and D grade FX Formula champion, up to B grade this year, so can't race in that for this year.
And the winner of previous years of Stars of Tomorrow.
Has been a star, but here comes Brad Swallow over the bikehaggle.com.au drop-off up the inside of Dominic De Leon. So now he has moved into what is that 5th position. Kelvin Riley's just in front of him at the moment.
Not for long, I don't think. He's right up onto the tailpipe. Up the inside he goes on the rise, leading up to Corporate Hill turns. Brad Swallow from dead last, now up into 4th. He's got clear air in front of him, but a fair amount of clear air to cover before he gets up onto the rear of now what I think is Brendan McIntyre, who's been overtaken by Simon Galloway.
Yeah, it looked like he got him for ever so slightly there, Lance, but Galloway's got him back. So it looks like those 3, Vitale, McIntyre and Galloway, still in that position as they go down. The Ipone Oil's back straight, ready from Matrice Dampers, turn 11 and 12. But look at the battle between the BC Performance rider of Kelvin Riley up against one of the bikes that he tunes up, Dominic De Leon.
Well, it's certainly going to be bragging rights somewhere along the lines there. There's no doubt about that as they head out of the Matrice Dampers. Turn 11-12 for the run down the Swann Insurance Main Straight. Our race leader has already negotiated races world turn 1, heading down into bikebiz.com.au turn number 2 as the battle for the minor placings continues. Our fastest rider, though, looks like it's Lucas Vitale, who is leading on his first flying lap at 1:33.47.
But interesting, you see the first 2 sector times there, Lance. Brendan McIntyre was a little bit quicker than Lucas Vitale, so he'll be closing that gap up. And Simon Galloway seems to have dropped off the front 3 at the moment.
Let's take this opportunity, Tim, to have a look on board Brad Swallow's immaculately prepared Kawasaki Connection ZX-10R, a replay of the start as he threads the needle going down into Races World for the first time, and up from 6th row of the grid to 6th placing outright as he heads down into bikebiz.com.au turn 2 for the first time. Here we go, look at this, the Suzuki now, the Western Motorcycle 7 Friday Suzuki of Brendan McIntyre coming on very hard halfway through this one onto the rear of the Kawasaki of Lucas Vitale.
Remember after the first podium, we got 3rd place there, Brendan. He said he used a used tyre slow for that first race, putting a new set of shoes on for race number 2, and they're coming to his advantage at the moment, aren't they?
Yeah, Simon Galloway can't do anything back there in third place on the Chris Watson Motorcycles Yamaha R1. It's all about the At1 Racing Kawasaki. He's on the outside. Here comes McIntyre up the inside under brake. Can't go on with it. Doesn't get the racing line that is needed. Lucas Vitale still assumes the race lead at this stage on the exit of bikebiz.com.au, but over the top of bikehaggle.com.au drop off, Brendan McIntyre swoops to the inside. Can he assert a bit of authority down there? He cannot. A line astern again as they exit Dunlop Sportsmax.
Yes, and I've noticed Lucas Vitale, when he gets in the lead, he starts doing very, defensive lines and tighter lines through the corners, not giving the riders behind any chance to look. But Vitale still holding that lead. Galloway still only 2.5 seconds behind. They haven't pulled away from Simon.
Here we go for the minor placings. His team principal owner and teammate Dominic De Leon on board Machine 63 back there in 5th. This is the battle for 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9. Make that 10 and 11. Look at them.
Look at Barbachetto. This is the best performance we've seen for him in a very long time. They're right on the back wheel of Dominic De Leon in front of Kelvin Riley, Damien Sutton as well. Harper Fripp rounding out the top 10.
Yeah, Barbachetto trying extremely hard to overcome Dominic De Leon in front of him. Likewise, here we are at the pointy end of the field, coming through Matrice Dampers and heading on to the Swann Insurance main straight for the second last time. They'll be given the last lap board, lap 7 of 8, about to start the final lap. It is Lucas Vitale that's leading on the At1 Racing Kawasaki, ahead of the Western Motorcycles Suzuki mounted Brendan McIntyre in second place. A distant third is Simon Galloway on his Cessnock Motorcycles Yamaha R1.
Yeah, you can see Simon's actually, he's settled for third there. You'd have to say their land's 4.2 seconds behind. That's about 1.5 seconds slower than his last lap. Brad Swallow still sitting in 4th place, but look at the battle out the front as they get ready to come. The bikehaggle.com.au drop off. It's still Vitale and McIntyre all over each other with a half a lap to go.
Yeah, McIntyre trying hard through the right-hander of Dunlop Sportsmax. Lines him up for a good run, clean line through the left-hander that leads up over the hill to Sydney Motorsport Park Ride Days Corporate Hill for the last time. I don't think McIntyre will try anything untoward here. He'll leave it till the very last minute if he can. He concentrates on good drive through here. Now through the adverse off-camber left-hander that leads down to the right-hander, the slowest corner in the circuit. McIntyre went for the wide line. He's been forced to go to the narrow side and now to the wide side through the right-hander. He needs to look at getting good drive down the iPone oils back straight and into Matrice Dampers for the final time. I think he's too far away, Tim. I think Lucas Vitale has broken the back of the efforts or the challenges of Brendan McIntyre.
Yeah, he's not riding very defensive line. He's looking for top speed down the straight. Is Lucas Vitale now? I don't think the Suzuki's got the mumbo to get into the slipstream. It looks like this is going to be another one for Lucas Vitale. He's had a very good day today, as the At1 Racing team has, and a great win there by Vitale. What a great ride by McIntyre. Simon Galloway in third. What can you say about Simon riding into? Well, look, Brad Swallow
from the back of the grid after a mechanical failure in race number 1 saw him stay all the way back to 18th. Didn't even score a point. Now he's up into 4th place. Marvellous effort. So there we go, a fantastic effort, and congratulations, all of it goes to the At1 Race Suits Kawasaki ZXR mounted Lucas Vitale. Brendan McIntyre on his Western Motorcycle Suzuki in second place, and making 3 different marks on the podium, Simon Galloway on the Chris Watson Motorcycles Yamaha R1. Then we had Brett Harper in 10th place, completing the first page of our results.
Didn't make a complete mess at the start on this one, and I knew someone was there. I thought it was Simon to turn around, and Brendan was right there, but I just covered all my lines on that last lap, and when I got to turn 9 I knew I was pretty well safe. So just try and get the start right and pull that throttle a bit harder.
I don't know about Lucas pulling the throttle more. Maybe we can pull a spark plug lead off. He was correct about blocking his lines. I'd say probably the last 2 laps, and difference in the horsepower means you can't do much more than that, but certainly we're right there on the wheel, and make one mistake we'll be through there.
We wanted to get some rider insight to all things safety and comfort when it comes to gloves, so we headed down to see the guys at bikebiz.com.au. Jimmy, talk to me about these gloves. Tell me why they're so important for your riding.
Well, when I'm riding, image is a big thing, and the design's really nice. The knuckle protectors are vented, which keeps my hands cool, and the skateboard protectors are a real confidence booster because I've always had fear about hurting my skateboard from previous injuries, and knowing that there is protection, it's a big bonus.
Matt, Jimmy touched on a few of the technical good points about these gloves, but I want to know specifics. Tell me about the safety of these.
Okay, like you said, safety is probably the main concern from the glove, safety and comfort. As far as safety goes, they've got the real big knuckle protectors there, and they've got some venting along it to add to a little bit of comfort there. For comfort, they've got the pre-curved glove. The glove's actually got a double closure. The double closure is so that the glove stays firmly in place in case of an accident. You've also got the nice solid palm protection there in case of a crash, so the very good abrasion properties. The glove is stitched, and internally it's got aramid fibres, which are an engineered product which is used in bulletproof vests, and yeah, it's very strong fibre. So all of that combined makes a really strong and safe glove for the rider.
So Jimmy, where can I get them?
You can get these gloves at bikebiz.com.au.
Our next race on the program is a category that is ever growing in popularity to the point where we have 24 riders gridded up for this Stars of Tomorrow. It is an opportunity for C&D grade riders of any category here as part and parcel of the Swann Super Series to showcase their talents in a like category. C&D grade riders only, 6 laps duration, and if yesterday's encounter between Jean-Gabriel Lane and Tim Griffith is anything to go by, we're in for a great race. In the starter's hands, 6 lap duration schedule, the Stars of Tomorrow as part and parcel of the Swann Super Series round 2 here from Sydney Motorsport Park. We're underway, and it looks like the number 19 gets the best of the start.
There's Gabriel Lane there on his Yamaha. Looks like a chorus and Mees was there as well. But as they go around Races World for the first time into bikebiz.com.au, and look, that's Lane with a commanding lead already, just with 2 corners, and just coming off a great ride in the Formula Oz class, so he'd be race ready straight away.
Con Kokoris coming up into second place, is it? No, it's the 22 of Jeremy Mears on the opposite side of the starting grid. I got them mixed up, and he's in second as they head over the top of bikehaggle.com.au drop-off.
Yeah, Mears not the best of days yesterday, didn't show his true performance, but he was at the pointy end, but failed to finish a couple of races, but he now is in second spot. Lane has been is up there. He's been relegated. No, Lane's out in front now, but Kokoris was seen to have dropped off the timing monitor at the moment there, so he's had a shocking start there, Lance. But it's all Jean-Gabriel Lane at the moment on his Yamaha.
Heading out of turn number 6, the Sydney Motorsport Park Ride Days Corporate Hill, combination of left-handers. Jean-Gabriel Cord doing a great job, Lane, I beg your pardon, doing a great job to streak the field at this early stage. Not an easy task to get a big gap in the opening lap here at Sydney Motorsport Park.
Look, we can even see one of the 700 Super Twins racing in this class, Lance. It's, so it is going all the way through the different classes. Oh, great move there by someone who was coming up the inside of Nassif. That could have been Carroll. Not quite sure, didn't catch the number there, but excellent riding as they come down the Swann Insurance main straight for the first time. But here comes Mears and Gabriel Lane, drag race on their Yamahas into Races World Turn 1.
Gabriel Lane just maintaining the race lead at the moment, but he's under an immense amount of pressure from Jeremy Mears on the 22 behind him as they come down out of Races World and towards bikebiz.com.au. Here's an opportunity to have a look at a replay of the start, and it was yesterday's key protagonists, Jeremy Mears, Jean-Gabriel Lane, Tim Griffith and Mark Nassif, that took up the challenge in the early stages, heading down out of Races World and towards bikebiz.com.au for the first time. It was indeed the FTR Racing teammates Jean-Gabriel Lane and Jeremy Mears with Tim Griffith and Mark Nassif. But let's get back to the battle for 6th place, being headed by Hamish McMurray. She's got a lot of experience underneath those leathers. He's got a lot of kilometres under those tyres, of course, and he knows Sydney Motorsport Park like the back of his hand. It's simply a matter of parity between the bikes. As you can see here, the nimbleness of the Kawasaki through that section of the circuit, but just a little bit of extra horsepower for McMurray works in his favour.
Here they come now. It's Jean Gabriel Lane still holding out there. Jeremy Mears.
Well, he's trying hard here. He's got good drive at the moment. He's on the inside, but he just can't seem to maintain it. Jean-Gabriel Lane has outbroken himself. I could hear the groans in the background from you.
You can see that coming there, but trying very hard. You can't break that hard with your back wheel or foot off the ground, Lance.
Well, Jeremy Mears has been pressuring. Now let's see if Jean-Gabriel can do the same thing.
And he's just got the fastest lap of 37.4, so 37.5 for Jeremy Mears. Nothing between these two riders out the front. What's that, about 1.5 laps to go in this race?
Lane trying up the inside. He tried to throw it up the inside, couldn't do it unfortunately, and he's lost a lot more ground than he's gained. Here's a replay now of that incident between the FTR Racing teammates as Jean-Gabriel just made that momentary lapse in concentration and a minor mistake that handed the lead back over to Jeremy Mears. Well, what Lane needs to do is concentrate on getting as close as he possibly can to Mears on the exit of these final turns. The Matrice dampers left-handers and pressure Mears as much as he possibly can to do what he just did and run a little bit wide and get a little bit squirrely under power. It's going to be a drag race down to the checkered flag. Will it be Jean-Gabriel Lane in one more lap, or will it be Jeremy Mears?
Jeremy's maintained the position that Jean-Gabriel held the last couple of times. Got a bit of an advantage now through race as well, turn one. Bikebiz.com.au is the next left-hander to negotiate, and final lap of the race. A leg out once again by Mears. He likes that sort of that style, doesn't he?
He does. It's effective for him, it works for him, especially down in bikebiz.com.au. No such need as he heads through right-hander and up over bikehaggle.com.au drop-off.
Yes, it's very spectacular to watch too, but only half a lap for Jean-Gabriel Lane to make the move, and he's having a big look through Dunlop Sports. Makes turn 4. Can he get up the inside? He lands having a look. No, he can't. Getting ready to come into the Sydney Motorsport Park ride day section of the circuit, and look at Lane now. Different line up the inside. Can he quite do it? A big block pass there by Lane on his R1. He's got back into the lead. Lands. Oh, he's off the circuit. Just lucky enough to stay on that bike, sliding through Sydney Motorsport Park ride days.
You could see Jeremy Mears trying to make that bike as wide as he possibly can, using every part of the machine and his body. And I think momentarily it sort of balked Jean-Gabriel Lane, who's lost a lot of ground there. I don't know that he's got enough mumbo to be able to get close enough here at the end of the iPone oils back straight through Matrice dampers, left-handers. Concentrate hard here, Jean-Gabriel. That's what you need to do, and he has done too. He is right up onto the rear wheel.
He's right down to both identical R1 in machines, so let's see who's going to get the best power to the ground. It looks like Mears may have done enough here, Lance, to take out the victory of the Stars of Tomorrow. Standalone race for the C&D grade big bore machines.
Jeremy Mears doing a great job in the meantime. Griffith in third place. Has he managed to do it? Yes, he has, ahead of Nassif and Howie. Then we've got this battle with McMurray, Fruin and LeBroy. And McMurray gets the upper hand, LeBrew and Smith. So here's confirmation of the results of the Stars of Tomorrow. Jeremy Mears finishing victorious ahead of Jean-Gabriel Lane, Tim Griffith, Mark Nassif, John Howie, James Fruin, Hamish McMurray, Mark LeBrew, Aaron Smith, and rounding up the top 10 is Shane Ryan.
I knew Gabby was always going to be quick, and I know Tim's quick as well. My friend Con didn't make the grid, so he almost handed me the win, so I'm grateful to be out there and take that win today.
Well, it all comes down to this. On the other side of this short break, we have the final encounter of the bikehaggle.com.au Superbikes as part and parcel of this second round of the Swann Super Series. Welcome back to our continued coverage of this second round of the Swann Super Series in 2017. The third and final race in the bikehaggle.com.au Superbikes is about ready to get underway. It was all about Brad Swallow yesterday. Today, the Chris Watson Motorcycles Yamaha of Simon Galloway has been victorious, as has Lucas Vitali in the At1 Race Suits Kawasaki ZX-10R. Who will it be this time around? Pole sitter is Lucas Vitali with Brendan McIntyre and Simon Galloway also on the front right row of the grid. Row 2 will see Brad Swallow, Simon Barbachetto and Dominic De Leon. Third row is Kelvin Riley, Stuart Fripp and Damien Sutton, followed by Brett Harper, John Gabriel Lane and Tim Griffith. James Fruin, Con Kokoris and Somford Rosner share the 5th row of the grid. 6th row, Brett Kitchen, Hamish McMurray and John Stamnus, with Daniel McKillop being our 19th runner.
Who's going to take honours in the last one? I think Brendan McIntyre had the race face on in race 2 there, Lance. Can he keep that up? And let's see how Simon Galloway, with his injury, can stay up for the last race of the day for the Superbikes. But it's Brad Swallow from row 2, position number 4, round the outside to take the whole shot into races world.
No, it's not. It's Lucas Vitale. And look at this. Up the inside, it's Dominic De Leon.
And Brendan McIntyre as well. So it's Brad Swallow getting just about mugged through races world turn 1 there, but maintains 2nd position on the road. It is Lucas Vitale up front, Brendan McIntyre, Dominic De Leon, and there's that Barbachetto on his Yamaha rounding out the top 5.
Oh, Brad Swallow using up all of the black stuff onto the yellow stuff and almost onto the green stuff.
Yeah, I just saw Simon Galloway way down the field there. He's about 6th or 7th position there, Lance. He's had a terrible start. He's just in front of rider number 22. At the moment, it is Lucas Vitale completely out in front. There are a few bike lengths from Brad Swallow, who had a great start, but was mugged in the first turn. Let's see how they go through Sydney Motorsport Park Ride Days Corporate Hill for the first time.
As this battle for second place is on in earnest, as Brad Swallow tries to make up for earlier indiscretions, with Brendan McIntyre and Dominic De Leon right behind him. On board with Dominic De Leon, doing a great job as the new kid on the block with the team principal of the @1 Pro Race Suits team. He'd have to have a grin from ear to ear in his debut year as team principal, doing a great job.
Had a good word with him, and I said, you're still smiling, is that because your team is winning? And he said, exactly, man. And here we go down the Lucas Vitale now across the start and finish line for the first time. Brad Swallow maintaining 2nd. Here comes Dominic De Leon up there around the outside of Brendan McIntyre. He's had a great start. So imagine if we get 2 @1 races on the podium. It'd be fantastic.
Yes, I'm imagining we'll probably run out of daylight by the time we finish the interview with the charismatic Trinidad and Tobago Dominic De Leon.
We'll have to have someone with the timer out there. That's it. But look, he's right on the back wheel now of Brad Swallow. He's having a great race, Dominic De Leon, as all the riders get prepared to come down through the bikehaggle.com.au drop-off into Dunlop Sports Makes turn 4.
Our race leader negotiates turn 4 and 5 quite successfully. This battle for 2nd, 3rd and 4th placing is probably going to go on for the remaining 4.5 laps, with Brad Swallow, Dominic De Leon and Brendan McIntyre. Simon Barbachetto just a little bit too far away, and whatever problems occurred with Simon Galloway, he's going to be battling it out with Kelvin Riley for the remainder of the race, I'm sure. Looking at a replay of the start, now on board with Brad Swallow's Kawasaki Connection ZX-10R. He and Lucas Vitale were rubbing shoulders through turn 1, the race's world, and all the way down to turn 2, bikebiz.com.au. You could see there from Vitale's point of view, swooping around the outside, now looking on board his machine at the run around the outside of Brendan McIntyre, and then oh so close with Brad Swallow. In the meantime, he has made up a lot of lost ground as Lucas Vitale, as opposed to Simon Galloway on the Chris Watson Motorcycles Yamaha. He got a very poor start by his standards. He's now making up that ground and threading the needle at the early stages of this race. 8 laps duration. We're on lap number 3, heading down through bikebiz.com.au. You can see the remarkably different lines of each of the riders heading out of there and ready to negotiate. bikehaggle.com.au drop over.
Yeah, just must have been a bad start there for Simon to be so far down the field and to pick up the pace he has, like he has done now, sitting in, 4th position on the road, just in behind Dominic De Leon, and Brad Swallow. So Simon now 4th position, but Vitale now out in front by 3.5 seconds.
Here we can see the superior horsepower and greater speed and slipstreaming to perfection of Simon Galloway's Yamaha over Brendan McIntyre's older model Suzuki. Brad Swallow hasn't given up. He's shaken off the challenge there of Dominic De Leon.
Yeah, he just got a fractionally quicker lap time than Dominic last time, with a 34.6 to a 34.8. But I don't think with the pressure with Simon Galloway on Brendan McIntyre, you don't really be thinking about that as well as chasing Brad Swallow out in front.
Brad's doing a good job considering the fact that he came away from round number 1 as our Swann Super Series Swann Insurance Australasian Superbike Championship leader, and then unfortunately had a problem with his chain in race number 1, which negated him from scoring any points. Came back strong with a vengeance and finished in 4th placing after starting at the back of the grid in race 2, and here he is now in race 3 in 2nd position.
You know who actually helped him get back on the track there, Lance? I'm not sure if Brendan McIntyre will be too helpful, because it was Brendan's dad who actually helped Brad get back onto the track.
Well, such is the camaraderie in the pits, isn't it? Because he assisted Brad's team in being able to put the chain back on that bike for him.
Correct tool he's to do, and he was actually lying on his back under the bike, so he wasn't mucking around getting it hands on dirty. But excellent their work by the McIntyres. But Lucas Vitale at the moment, like I said, a little back straight there from Sports Max into Sydney Motorsport Park ride days. But here comes McIntyre now. He's got the better of Dominic De Leon, who's got the drive to go up to the left hand ball. Dominic De Leon's not taking that for an answer there. He's going up the inside, but can he do it?
No, McIntyre had the speed and the line, didn't he? It's the very late stages of this 8-lap encounter, and you can see there Brendan McIntyre on his Western Motorcycles Sydney 7 Friday Suzuki is a man on a charge. So too is this man, Simon Galloway, on the Chris Watson Motorcycles Yamaha R1. They're all trying to chase down for those final couple of podium places. Again, McIntyre up the inside of the At1 Pro Racing Kawasaki ZX-10R of Dominic De Leon. Tell you what, Simon Galloway is threatening, isn't he?
Yes, he was right there, had a big look. I think he put the wheel just in front of Brad Swallow there, and this is where Simon has been really good as well. But no, Brad Swallow, he's done, he's got a little bit wide. Hasn't it opened up for Simon Galloway? No. Big sweeping line there by Brad Swallow on his Kawasaki. Simon Galloway is right there.
Galloway trying hard, forcing the issue, almost causing Brad Swallow to dance around too delicately on the front wheel. Under braking down in bikebiz.com.au.
Yes, it's coming down to the final laps of this race. Vitale 5 seconds in the lead. Still the fastest in Sector 1, so still the fastest rider on the circuit. Lucas has not backed off since the first turn.
Concentrating hard on this battle because it is a lonely old ride for our race leader out in front, Lucas Vitale, the At1 Race Suits Kawasaki ZX-10R rider.
Yeah, Brad Swallow with his hands full, definitely with just over 1 lap to go here with Simon Galloway. Brad Swallow's held the pressure fantastically so far, with Simon Galloway, one of the most experienced road racers in the country, right on his tail, and he just loves riding that new Chris Watson's R1 Yamaha.
Out of the final turn for the run down the main straight. Brad Swallow in second. Simon Galloway third. Is that Brendan McIntyre that has certainly shaken off the challenges as Simon Galloway tries to poke his nose up the inside and loses a lot of ground.
Yeah, looks like Simon was up the inside there, then couldn't maintain that speed, had to go a little bit wide. This has fallen into the hands of Brad Swallow now, opening up a few bike lengths, but Brendan McIntyre, he's right there at the moment.
Well, he's been trying hard. He had a bit of a difficulty about halfway through the race. But he's trying hard, but again, it's a legacy of a little bit too little too late, I think.
Yes, he was actually quicker than both Galloway and Swallow that time around with his fastest lap of 34.8. So on the second last lap of the day, McIntyre pulls the fastest lap of the race.
Well, our race leader, Lucas Vitale, he's around the other side of Corporate Hill on the At1 Race Suits first place building contrast printing Kawasaki ZX-10R, but this is the battle for second place. It is the 56 of Brad Swallow, the Kawasaki Australia, Kawasaki Connection ASBG Dew Speed Kawasaki ZX-10R, who's marginally leading Simon Galloway on the Chris Watson Motorcycles Bodywise Smash Repairs Yamaha R1. But it's all been about this man.
Yeah, Lucas Vitale, what a day he's had today. It's a three-peat for the Kawasaki. It's just a different coloured one today there, Lance, but excellent work by Lucas Vitale. That at one pro race suit team is getting bigger and better, and Dominic De Leon, as he mentioned to me earlier, he's just happy to see his team win. But look at this, the drag race, it's Simon Galloway and Brad Swallow. Excellent ride there by Simon Galloway, recovering from such a bad start.
Brendan McIntyre, a very creditable performance this weekend, finishes in 4th place. Dominic De Leon, the team principal of the At1 Pro Race Suits, he will finish in 5th place. Simon Barbacello in 6th, followed by Harper, Fripp, Riley, Sutton. Great effort.
I must be getting arm pump or something. I could hardly hold on. Yeah, I was waiting for someone to show me a wheel. If I had known I was that far in front, I probably would have slowed down a bit on the last lap. But yeah, all good. Really happy. Great debut for the At1 Pro Race Suits team. Really glad that I could do that for Dominic.
Spewing about the first race, losing a chain and all, but you get that. Like, that's just mechanical failure. That stuff happens. But yeah, great work to the boys. Can't thank my team enough for getting the bike back out there for race 2 and race part 2, race 1. So yeah, had to sort of fight from the back really in the second race a bit, which I was a bit spewing about, but that's all right. Yeah, we got up here on the step for the last race, and you know, stoked to be up here, and so just, yeah, awesome.
Let's have a look now at how they stand in the bikehaggle.com.au Superbikes after round 2. It's Lucas Vitale ahead of Simon Galloway and Brad Swallow, whilst in the Formula Oz A-grade class it's Damien Sutton, with Tim Griffith leading the Formula Extreme C and D grade. Well, that concludes our coverage of this second round of the Swann Super Series from Sydney Motorsport Park. We look forward to welcoming you to Queensland Raceway in mid-July for rounds 3 and 4. On behalf of Tim Graham and the entire team here, thanks for your company. Look forward to it again soon.